Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
Before you venture into the basics, make sure that you have hit all of the areas on the checklist. 1, making money. Yes, we do make money. 2, making money work for you, not working for the money. And most of the time, we accumulate all these monies, and then what happens? We either waste it or spend it on things that don't matter. Today on the show, we're going to look at how we can make money work for us. And before we delve into that discussion, take a look at the profile of our guest today. Daniel, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Brian.
First, let me know, how did you get to Uganda? Where are you from originally?
Thanks for asking, Brian. I'm originally from South Africa. I worked for a year in Botswana in 2011. Then took my wife and kids to Southeast Asia and Thailand. So we lived in paradise for 3 years. And then about a year and a bit ago, I got the opportunity to actually come back to Africa and do some stuff here in Africa. And I decided to put some roots down here in Uganda. So I've been in and out of Uganda for about a year now, the last year.
Wow.
So that's how I got introduced to Uganda.
Right. I want to I think the thing that is on my bucket list is visiting Thailand. And
beautiful.
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 Yeah.
Cheap to visit, low cost of living. Cheaper than Uganda, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Even the food on the roadside is cheaper. And obviously the exchange rate's also in your favor, you know, at the end of the day, yeah.
So you've tasted our Rolex?
Oh, absolutely. My toke is what I eat, my toke and beef. I eat in Nigeria 1, where I live, at Steele's restaurant. A little local guy that makes homemade food there, so really enjoy it, yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, Dan. Most of us will spend our time working day by day, and someone the other day said, at the end of the month, we have more month than salary.
Absolutely.
Right? Instead of more salary than month.
Yeah.
And so today we're going to look at that. Send your feedback, comments, your questions on our Twitter and Facebook platforms, but also the SMS line is open. You can send that to 6565. What goes wrong? We accumulate all the money. It comes in. It's a lot of money. And Ugandans make money.
Sure.
But it doesn't translate maybe in assets or, it just stops there.
Yes.
And you look at the person and you're asking, what do you have to show for the money? What goes wrong?
You know, Brian, I've met with a lot of people, this last year. And, people with different backgrounds, etc. And I think what a lot of people are doing is they tell me, we get all this money, Daniel, and we don't know what to do with the money.
Right.
So what ends up happening is people either they waste it and they buy the luxury items or impulse buying. Some people put, say, all their money into one asset class, which is like property in Uganda.
Right.
Which people are, land is a thing in Uganda. Obviously, everybody loves land. But like what I say to a lot of my clients, you can be land rich and cash poor. So it's important to allocate money accordingly. Make sure that not more than a third of your money is going to mortgages and loans.
Right.
Make sure that not more than 5% is going towards insurances, etc. Not more than 30% goes to investments and savings. Yes, and make sure that you spend the money after you have saved, not the other way around. Don't save the money what is left after spending, in other words. So pay yourself first.
Right.
In other words, yeah.
Right. Do we get so excited when we have all this money, and then we kind of develop the list right there and then, like, I have to get this before I even save money?
I think so, yes. There's various reasons why the money seems to go through people's fingers here in Uganda and in Africa in general. I'm from South Africa, like I said, so Miss African is the next person. But people put their money in all kinds of weird and wonderful schemes and scams, you know, sometimes.
Right.
Africa seems to be the dumping ground of scams and schemes. And we won't go into details there, but people seem to waste money, you know, a lot. And absolutely.
Right.
So I recommend that people put their money into a medium to long-term saving solution, something decent, reputable, with a reputable organization, with a track history, and those solutions are available for people that just ask the right question.
How then do you make, you know, I like the concept of making money work for you.
Yes. I think, you know, the most important thing, Brian, is just to diversify at the end of the day. Like what I said, you know, you can make some really good money in property alone. I was big in property in South Africa.
Right.
But like with any asset class, sometimes things go up and sometimes things go down.
Yes.
So it's not good to put all your eggs in one basket. So sometimes, you know, property might be down and some other asset class might be up. So that's the idea behind diversification. So you can own all the land in Uganda. If nobody wants to buy it, you're not going to have cash.
Right.
So just a bit of, you know, diversification, I think, at the end of the day.
Right.
Make sure
in the work that you do, what exactly do you advise people, you know, especially those that, let's start with the high income earners. They're guys who actually earn big.
Sure.
And when we look at them, we're like, he can actually afford it.
Yes.
When he dies, you know, everything is fine. His children are fine. And what exactly do they do that we don't do with their money?
I find the high net worth people that I meet with, they're a little bit more sophisticated, obviously. They've got a little bit more sophisticated needs. But what I normally advise people is they're more interested in wealth protection. I always tell people to be very wary of anybody that can promise you to double your money in 6 months' time. I'm not into that kind of business. We're into wealth protection at the end of the day. But also, we want to make sure your money is going to do better than just lying in some bank account somewhere. We want to make sure your money is growing. So I'm an international offshore investor. So I encourage people to invest locally as well. But part of my diversification strategy is to encourage people to put a bit of money away offshore.
What's that? What exactly is that?
Offshore markets. For instance, the companies and the solutions that we represent are based offshore in places like the Isle of Man or Jersey and Guernsey, which are UK Channel Islands. The countries are very stable and secure. There's investor protection in those regions, policy protection acts. As you know, there's no investor protection in Africa. Even a bank can go bankrupt, like Greenland's Bank and all kinds of financial institutions. So people are not putting all their millions just into a bank account anymore. They're investing in their little sideline business. They're farming their bar down the road in Ginger or wherever. And so what I'm also telling people is, you know, take a bit of money also and put it offshore.
For the guy that cannot afford offshore investment, how can they use their money to bring more money here locally? What do you advise them to do?
People think it's very, very expensive. But just to give you an idea, to invest a bit of money offshore, it's going to cost you about $300 US. Now, I can appreciate that for a lot of people, that's the whole salary. So I'm not really in the mass market business. What we do is a little bit more aimed at the working professional. But what I'll tell people that cannot afford anything from $300 upwards is to just, you know, put your money in maybe a money market account or something, and rather than just lying in a normal bank account, because you get a little bit of interest on your money at least. You know, it's better than nothing.
Right.
There's about 26 banks in Uganda. So shop around. Don't just always go, you know, with the biggest bank and the glitziest decor, because that's your money working for them. A bank has only got one mission, unfortunately. That's to make as much money for itself as possible. We all know that. And give their clients a little bit. So whereas these kind of companies that we deal with is working on a different kind of principle, as to make your money work for you at the end of the day.
Right. Basic tips. You know, I have got my money here. I've received my salary, put it on the table, and breaking it down. And I like what you said earlier, pay yourself first.
Absolutely.
What are the other principles that I can, you know, use my money with?
I think if you get a bit of unexpected income, like a bonus or windfall, I always say put a third in the past, which means debts and things like that, car payments, credit card payments, things like that. A third in the present, which means things that you need to get to, fix your house, do a bit of renovations, fix your brakes, fix your border, whatever case might be, and a third in the future, which is investments and savings, so allocate that money accordingly. A typical recipe is no more than 30% of your money should go to mortgages, credit cards, and those kind of things, and loans. 15% of your money towards the living expenses of your salary. I think 20% towards taxes, etc. 5% towards insurance, etc. It's very important to have insurance. Make sure that if something happens to you, that your children are taken care of, your family is taken care of. Who's going to pay those bills when you die? One day, those kind of things. So, because I say to people at retirement, out of 100 people, there's one person that's going to be rich, 4 people that's going to be financially independent, 5 is still going to be working, 12 is going to be dead broke.
At retirement.
29 is going to be dead, and 49 people are still going to be dependent on family and charity. So that is typical.
That's almost
statistics.
Half the number.
Exactly.
That's scary.
And it's just people who failed to plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you need to speak to a financial advisor. My services are free of charge.
How do you determine an awesome financial advisor? And that's one of the questions that have been, that has been going through my mind, because most of the time we actually don't know where to find them.
Sure.
First of all, so you just say, all right, I have my money. These are my priorities. Let me just go out there and see what happens.
Sure. I think it's very important, Brian, to be careful of policy salespeople, as I call them, or product salespeople that are paid to just punt or sell a particular product. It's very easy to put somebody on a training course and the next day they're selling product on the road.
Right.
I would say get somebody that is qualified and experienced, that's interested in you as a person, that's going to build a relationship with you. Because some of these companies, let's face it, when you pick up the phone, every time you speak to a different person, the only time they call you is when they have something to sell you, or if your premium is in arrears, or there's some issue. So there's no relationship building. I build a long-term relationship with my clients. I meet with them at least once every 6 months. I have 4,500 people on my LinkedIn, so there's constant communication.
And you know all these people.
And I know them, and I make sure I'm in their faces. I'm in the media, in the Uganda CEO magazine, in the New Vision newspaper. So there's that constant communication that I try to get across to people,
Right.
Not everybody's on all the social media things. I've got over 60 online profiles and stuff, so you can just go and Google Financial Advisor Uganda, and 8 of the 10 entries on Google will be mine, for instance. So it's not very difficult to find me, for instance. So, but yes, go and look and shop around. Don't just go with the first person that offers you a product and say, we're the best and X, Y, because that's what they all say. Everybody's better than the next guy, and they'll tell you why. Check your advisor's credentials. Make sure that there is some kind of qualification at least. I've got a UK qualification, for instance. So, yes. So I think it's important, if you're going to walk a road with somebody for the next 10, 15, 20 years, that there is a relationship that you can build.
My British mom always keeps saying, I have to call my financial guy to advise me whether it's wise to do this and this and that and this and that. And I'm always thinking, come on, the opportunity is just there. Just buy it. Just do this, invest. It's making returns. It's like, no, I have to call my guy, and, he tells me what to do. Absolutely. Well, money is obviously a very huge thing to talk about. But every Monday, we'll be breaking it down on how you can best make use of your money, how you can best budget, how you can best save. A couple of tips for you, so that at the end of the day, when you're retiring, you're not dead broke and relying on charity, which is the order of the day in Uganda, but you are actually financially independent. Daniel van Niekerk.
That's correct. Van Niekerk.
Van Niekerk was here to tell us about how you can make your money work for you. Offshore investment is something that I've learned. And maybe I should start thinking about that. And I will be letting you know how you can get in touch with Dan.